express aim of trying to silence the opposition, particularly the India alliance. Now, irrespective of what happens to this case, how it's argued in court, and eventually what comes of it, the moot point is this: that there are grave allegations of corruption against a senior functionary of the Aam Aadmi Party, a public representative at that. And in this case, should the law take its own course? Should this case be decided on the merits of the evidence that the ED is able to provide and make a case beyond reasonable doubt that yes, Sanjay Singh was indeed the conduit and that he was a beneficiary of the amended liquor policy? Or is this case going to get drowned out in the surround sound of politics? Before we get to all of that, first, the day's story.
संजय जी कुछ कहेंगे अपने रेस्टिंग? संजय जी कुछ कहेंगे? संजय जी कुछ कहेंगे? है मोदी जी का हारेंगे मोदी जी चुनाव हार रहे इसलिए संजय जी आगे आरोप की बात करें।
इतने केस लगा लिए, इतनी जांच कर ली, कुछ निकलता तो है नहीं। गलत ही केस बना रखा है इन लोगों ने हमारे ऊपर।
ये जो संजय सिंह है ये कोई लाश नहीं है, और भी बड़े बड़े नाम हैं जो ये पूरी शराब की पॉलिसी में इन्वॉल्व थे।
All right, so the Enforcement Directorate in its remand application has made a detailed case against Sanjay Singh, and we've managed to access the remand note. Now, this is what the Enforcement Directorate says, that Sanjay Singh happens to be one of the key conspirators in the liquor scam. It goes on to say that he has known Dinesh Arora, who's one of the main accused, now turned approver, since 2017. He received proceeds of this crime, the change of policy, the change of liquor policy that happened when Manish Sisodia was the minister in charge in 2021. Sanjay Singh, the ED alleged today in its remand application, received 2 crores worth from the proceeds of this crime. 1 crore of this bribe money was paid by Sameer Mahindru, again one of the accused in the Liquorgate scandal. Mahindru paid bribes to Sanjay Singh at the behest of Vijay Nair. Vijay Nair was also an accused in this case. Received another 1 crore rupees from Abhishek Boinpalli. Abhishek Boinpalli is part of what the ED alleges is the southern cartel of the Liquorgate scandal, and he too paid 1 crore rupees. All of this money, the ED claims, went through Sanjay Singh back to the Aam Aadmi Party's coffers. There are call detail records which confirm Dinesh Arora's allegations. 1 crore was also picked up from the Indo Spirits office, which is of Sameer Mahindru's office in Okhla in South Delhi. This is what the ED has said in its remand application. Now, Sanjay Singh's defense to all of this is number one, and you heard what he said briefly as he was being escorted out of the court after the day's proceedings got concluded. He said that the sudden arrest in this case, remember the ED has been probing this for a number of months now. Manish Sisodia was arrested more than 6 months ago. Mr. Singh and his lawyers have claimed that the sudden arrest indicates that this is vendetta politics at play right after the formation of the India alliance and the successful meetings they've had, 3 meetings in the last 3 months. In his defense, Mr. Sanjay Singh has also said through his lawyers that not an iota of truth is there in the charges against him. He also went on to say that Dinesh Arora, who is an accused, now turned approver, was under pressure to frame Sanjay Singh. No summons was issued by the agency before the raids happened yesterday, and then he was summarily arrested thereafter. The ED is applying a different set of rules for him, that is Sanjay Singh, because he happens to be an opposition politician who is critical of Mr. Narendra Modi and his government. Now, irrespective of what happens to this case, like I said, whether it results in a conviction or whether it gets drowned out in politics, I want to bring you up to speed with some data points. And this is important because the Enforcement Directorate has become the agency of choice, if you will, for these anti-corruption crackdown, particularly by the Modi government. Now, I want to put to test the Enforcement Directorate's record from 2014 to 2022. Out of the total number of cases that have been filed, the number of politicians who have been either booked or raided or interrogated is 121. Now, out of this 121, the opposition politicians are 115, which means 95% of the politicians who've been raided or booked or questioned by the Enforcement Directorate in the last 9 years happen to be from various opposition parties. 5% of them happen to be from the Bharatiya Janata Party. Now, we put to test the number of cases that the Enforcement Directorate has successfully disposed of, either in a conviction or in an acquittal of the accused, from 2005 to 2023. That's the last almost 20 years. And this is across two dispensations, UPA 1 and 2 and now NDA 1 and 2. Out of the 5,096 cases that the Enforcement Directorate has probed, some of them under PMLA, some of them others, only 25 cases have been disposed of. Now, the ED claims that out of those 25 cases, it has resulted in conviction in 24 out of those 25 cases. But the proportion of cases, that is 25 out of 5,096, would work out to be less than 1% of the cases in the last 20 years the ED has managed to successfully dispose of. Now, searches that have been conducted, again in the last 9-year period, there have been 2,974 searches. Again, that's a threefold jump from what was happening when the UPA was in power. Prosecution complaints, and this is again interesting because these are complaints that are filed at the behest of an agency. It could be the police, local police in some cases. It could be agencies like the CBI or ED itself in this case. 839 of these cases have originated from prosecution complaints, not from victims of this financial fraud. There is a clear distinction here. If you're a victim of a financial fraud and you file a police complaint, that is a police complaint which then results in an FIR. A prosecution complaint is when the agency itself registers a complaint without a victim of that crime, alleged crime, coming forth. Now, let's open this up to our guests who are joining us. This, of course, is a big political story between not just the Aam Aadmi Party and the BJP. Of course, there were protests and counter-protests today, but this has become a sort of rallying point for both the BJP as well as the India Alliance parties. The BJP saying these are legitimate probes, these are corrupt politicians from the opposition who need to be held to account. The India Alliance saying this is yet another instance of silencing of the opposition. Sanjay Verma, national spokesperson of the BJP, Shubh Malhotra is spokesperson of the Aam Aadmi Party, A. Saravanan, spokesperson of the DMK, and R. Rajagopalan, senior journalist, now joining us. Sanjay Verma, the contention that's been made by Mr. Sanjay Singh through his lawyers, the Aam Aadmi Party, you've heard from Arvind Kejriwal and others, is there is simply no case against him. This was an early morning raid. He was not summoned before that. There was no questioning before that. And in the very first raid, at the end of the day one of the first raid, they've already decided to arrest him. And this is simply because of political vendetta. Please respond.
Thank you. Zaka, first I have to hand it to you. That was a brilliant introduction which put things in perspective. You know, let me just remind your audience that way back in July 2022, and then as recently as April 2023, in July, the Supreme Court, led by Justice Khandilkar, heard 241 petitions, primarily from the opposition, which said that mass arrests of opposition leaders by the Modi government is a sign of authoritarianism. And then in April 2023, barely a few months back, Abhishek Singhvi was representing 14 political parties from the opposition camp, and his argument was the same, that opposition leaders are being victimized by way of probe agencies only focusing on them thanks to the Modi government's witch hunt. And Abhishek Manu Singhvi had egg all over his face. He had to withdraw his petition after no less than the CJI, Justice Chandrachud, told him, after he rattled out some data as to why only opposition leaders are being targeted. And Justice Chandrachud asked him, are you saying on the back of the data that you have presented that corrupt politicians should be given immunity? Are you saying that politicians should be treated differently? Please do not come to us with generic cases. If you have a specific case, come to us. Abhishek Manu Singhvi withdrew his petition. This is to tell you that in the highest court of law of the land, the opposition has had to cut a sorry figure in July 2022 and then again in April 2023. But more importantly, as far as Sanjay Singh goes, he needs to be educated on something. This case is still sub judice because the Supreme Court is still hearing about the so-called vendetta by the Enforcement Directorate. In the last hearing, the Supreme Court upheld the validity of Section 3, which defines money laundering. It upheld the validity of Section 5 of the PMLA Act of 2002 pertaining to attachment of property, and most importantly, it actually upheld Section 17, 18, 19, which pertain to suo motu, search, seizure and arrest of the concerned person, and the most important section of the PMLA is Section 24, which pertains to reverse burden of proof. In the IPC, you are proven, you are considered innocent until proven guilty. But when it comes to a money laundering case, Zaka, you are held guilty until proven innocent. Due to the reverse burden of proof, the Enforcement Directorate has the suo motu right under the PMLA Act of not only 2002 but the revised PMLA Act of 2005 to arrest somebody.
Let me ask Shubh Malhotra of the Aam Aadmi Party. This is what the ED has said in its remand application today, that Mr. Sanjay Singh was one of the key conspirators in the liquor scam. He was associated with Dinesh Arora since 2017. In fact, there are letters written by Sanjay Singh to Dinesh Arora and vice versa from the last 2 or 3 years, where it's clear that they have known each other. There are pictures of them together with Mr. Sisodia, with Mr. Kejriwal. So the point or the line of defense taken today by Mr. Sanjay Singh's lawyers in court, that they have no acquaintance or they have no relationship, no friendship between Mr. Arora and Mr. Sanjay Singh, simply doesn't cut ice, because Dinesh Arora in his 164 CRPC statement to the court has said that it was Mr. Sanjay Singh who he met with at one of the South Delhi restaurants, who requested money from the owners, and checks amounting to 82 lakh rupees Dinesh Arora procured for Sanjay Singh. This is what he has said before a judge under 164 CRPC. So how can you say that Sanjay Singh has nothing to do with Dinesh Arora?
See, Mr. Arora, the person in question over here, this is not his first statement. So back when ED started with investigation in this so-called liquor scam, which I feel is completely imaginary due to some facts which I will come to later. He had earlier, when the charge sheet was filed, there was no mention, his statement was given, there was no mention of Sanjay Singh. But 2 days back, as soon as he turned approver, now we know in court, whenever there is no evidence, that is when the accused turns into approver. So it is quite clear over here what is happening in this case. And I think that has been outlined by the courts also today, when they said that all this is fine. So everything that has been said till now is fine. But where is the proof? Where are the proceeds of the crime? For Manish Sisodia, they said that where is the money exchange? Where is the money trail? Now, mind you, ED, CBI, they work using the taxpayers' money, right? And now you just outlined how 95% of the cases are against opposition, how the conviction rate is under 1%, and how the taxpayers' money of the country is being utterly sheerly wasted.
But ma'am, you are not answering the question that I asked you. What is the defense for Sanjay Singh? Mr. Arora has said that Sanjay Singh received proceeds of the crime worth 2 crore rupees. 1 crore from Samir Mahindru. Mahindru paid the bribe at the behest of Vijay Nair, and another 1 crore from Abhishek Boinpalli. Both Samir Mahindru and Abhishek Boinpalli are accused. They are in jail in this case. And Mr. Arora, again an accused and in jail turned approver now, is saying that 1 crore each was paid by both of these gentlemen to Mr. Sanjay Singh. What is your response to that?
Therefore, so we can sit over here and we can discuss, what exactly is the correct thing and the wrong thing, but none of us are privy to any of the information except for this piece of information, that is the accusation. Let me just be very clear, these are accusations. So when we say innocent until proven guilty, let's not, violate that tenet by, calling it that, what is your defense? So that means you are guilty. Isn't this the wrong perspective? And it is not,
No.
you know,
But if
it
there's
is
a
not-
charge and a very serious charge against one of your senior most leaders,
Yeah,
what is your defense
yeah.
to that charge?
It has not happened. Let them prove that it has happened. Just like
I
a
want to
few
quickly
months
come in.
back when
Okay.
ED wrote Sanjay Singh's name in the charge sheet, and when Sanjay Singh did case against them that how can you mention my name without any evidence, and they said that, oh, we are sorry, it was a mistake on our part, it was a misspelling. So this
Okay.
is exactly
So, Sanju Verma, quick response. Saravanan
Yeah.
and Mr. Rajagopalan are waiting very patiently. Yeah. So, quick rebuttal.
Yes.
Yeah.
My quick rebuttal is this, Zaka, that, accused number 9, Amit Arora, accused number 11, Dinesh Arora, who's also turned an approver wide section 306 of the CRPC, and accused number 13, Sunny Marwa. The reason I've named Amit Arora and Sunny Marwa, accused number 9 and 13 is, if you recall, in September 2022, there were 2 separate sting operations done. And in both these sting operations, Sanjay Singh, Manish Sisodia, and a whole lot of top brass leaders of Aam Aadmi Party were, supposedly engaging in a quid pro quo leading to bribes in favor of giving licenses to the liquor cartel. Point that is most important is that Dinesh Arora, and this is mentioned in the ED's additional supplementary charge sheets, Dinesh Arora has said that he helped Amit Arora, accused number 9, to meet up with Sanjay Singh's personal assistant, a man called Ajit Tyagi, and Sanjay Singh's confidant and a close associate called Vivek Tyagi, and the money to Sanjay Singh was routed by Samir Mahindra of Indospirit via Ajit Tyagi, Sanjay Singh's PA, and via Vivek Tyagi, Sanjay Singh's close associate. So the entire story is out in the public domain.
Let me ask Saravanan. Saravanan, let's take the big picture here. This case has been going on for the better part of the last year now. And Manish Sisodia, no less, who is the Deputy Chief Minister, has been arrested. He's in jail now. And in multiple courts of law, he has approached for bail. In fact, the last judgment of the court while rejecting his bail, order of the court while rejecting his bail, and I'm going to read from it. The role of third parties in finalizing the policy, the liquor policy that is, raises red flags. Witnesses show the role of outsiders in drafting the policy. Evidence indicates that the policy was framed in an opaque manner. Mr. Sisodia is unable to pass the triple test for bail under PMLA. This is what the court said while rejecting the bail application. So if these are such grave and serious charges, then why shouldn't the law proceed against Sanjay Singh or anyone else accused in this case for that matter?
Yeah, Zaka, why have you not quoted what the Supreme Court said today? It said the evidence against Mr. Manish Sisodia will not stand for 2 minutes scrutiny. And I'll tell you as a lawyer, the evidence of an approver is the weakest piece of evidence. Based on that, no conviction could be based upon. This is what they teach us in law schools. This is the basic thing. And now the BJP goes to town, tom-tomming about the approver's evidence. And how do they get this? We are seeing one court, the Enforcement Directorate or the other authorities refusing to give the FIR in an UAPA case. And now we are discussing all the intimate details. Is this not a media trial? Is this not what the Supreme Court frowned upon? And you clearly pointed out in your data, 95% of the cases, this is Gestapo, India's version of Gestapo. Income Tax Department, the ED and the CBI are nothing less than Gestapo in India. And why are they doing this? They are doing this because the Modi government is afraid of the India alliance.
Oh my God.
If you are guilty, you will go join the BJP.
Absolutely.
If you are innocent, you are picked up by the ED. Sanjay Rawat, an MP of the Shiv Sena, was picked up. The trial court ensured that the bail was immediately granted. And what ground, what audacity did you have to arrest him? Was he given compensation? What is the response of the BJP? And Mr. Ajit Pawar, what was the allegation? 70,000 crores. And what happened to the ED case? Vanished out of thin air. Praful Patel,
I want to answer that.
5,000 crores of property was attached.
Okay.
What happened to him? the Enforcement Directorate
Jaka?
dare
Zaka, can I
arrest
come in?
Mr. Praful Patel.
Jaka, can I
Yeah,
come in?
Won't,
yeah.
because they are all
Jaka?
singing
Okay.
praise to
Allegations
Mr.
are-
Okay,
Manish.
let me go to Rajagopalan. He's been waiting very patiently. Mr. Rajagopalan, I showed this data point earlier on in the program as well, and both Shubh Malhotra and Saravanan have latched onto it. And this is a fact. This is also an Indian Express report which came out a few months ago. I'm quoting from that. 121 prominent politicians have been under the ED probe. They've either been booked or raided or interrogated or arrested. Out of that 121, 115 happen to be from opposition parties. That is 95% of these politicians in PMLA cases in the last 9 years have been from opposition parties. When the India Alliance and other opposition parties of the India Alliance say, Mr. Rajagopalan, that the ED, CBI, IT, etc. are being used as instruments to harass them, this statistic kind of proves their point. What is the counter to that?
My understanding of this, Jaka, is that the opposition leaders are knee deep into corruption. That is why from the Red Fort, Prime Minister said that Enforcement Directorate piche jayega, chodega nahi hai. So therefore, my understanding again is that Prime Minister who has got 303 MPs, he is well within his right, and the Enforcement Directorate is well within his rights to expose the corrupt opposition, because most of the political parties, including in the Alliance, are corrupt. The reason being, Prime Minister has been in message said that he will unleash ED to expose the opposition, nepotism, corruption, corrupt practices. So therefore, Prime Minister is within rights. My understanding of this Sanjay Singh case is this needle of suspicion goes to the top leaders. Even today, courts are not giving bail to Mr. Sisodia. Net is closing in on op. Supreme Court also said, why can't the party be made, Aam Aadmi Party be made as accused? Then the Aam Aadmi Party will lose the broomstick, the election symbol also. Age reduction, zonal allocation, these are all certain things. Policy matters. How can they go outside this? When the policy matter is that it should be government prerogative. How can Tyagi and Sanjay Singh discuss about this and get 2 crore, 3 crore rupees? That is why the bribe has taken place. That is a white collar crime.
Okay.
Zaka, see, we are talking about the policy decisions. When we say that somebody has influenced a policy decision, I think the BJP is the party which has to be probed. What is the money they have raked in through electoral bonds? 3,600 crores. As any other party
what did he say?
Nothing at all.
Somebody said.
What is this?
Okay.
Somebody
One
said
at a time, please. One at a time.
If
Saranan,
the
10
BJP
seconds. Wrap up 10 seconds, Saranan,
Yes,
then I will go
yes.
to Sanju Verma after that. Yeah.
Yes. So the electoral bonds is the biggest scam the BJP is perpetrating. Again, one more aspect is this. The BJP says, oh, look at the Supreme Court judgment. It is very, very farcical that the BJP is quoting Supreme Court judgments and the sanctity of the Supreme Court judgments. When the Supreme Court said a CEC should be a chief judge, the panel should consist of the Supreme Court judge, chief judge, they say they'll not follow that.
Anyway, that's Saranan, that's not material. That's not material to today's debate. We'll debate that. We've debated that in the past. Let's not divert. But Sanju Verma, once again, again, I'm going back to the data that I showed. The data that I showed at the beginning of the program. Since 2005, across two different administrations, first when UPA was in power and now when NDA is in power, 5,906 cases the ED has filed. Only 25 of those cases have been disposed of. Shouldn't that be a matter of concern, that if the ED is really at the vanguard of taking on corrupt politicians and weeding out corruption from our polity, then surely they should have a better record than this, 25 out of 5,906.
You know, Zaka, with no offense to you, I also want to point out what the Enforcement Directorate has said with respect to the low conviction rate. They've said that while overall conviction rate may have been low, the conviction rate of the Enforcement Directorate, particularly with respect to money laundering cases filed under the PMLA Act, there the conviction rate of the Enforcement Directorate is a stupendous 96%, which is far higher than the IPC conviction rate of 56%, And don't forget that if you talk about the Enforcement Directorate's conviction rate, we should also talk about the CBI and the NIA's conviction rate, because many cases are jointly probed by all the three probe agencies, and the NIA and CBI's conviction rates are close to 94%. Now, the second point that I want to make, DMK said, approvers' words do not hold ground in a court of law. I mean, I don't know from where the DMK panelist has studied his law, but I would urge him to go and study the Indian Evidence Act of 1872, which has been subsequently amended a couple of times. And under the Indian Evidence Act, what an approver says, wide section 306 of the CRPC, is completely valid in a court of law. And don't forget that today ASG Raju also mentioned that there are WhatsApp chats between excise officials and Manish Sisodia, between Manish Sisodia and the others and the liquor mafia, and electronic proof is also, something that is completely valid in a court of law. Point number 3 that I want to stress upon is when Sukhpal Singh Khera was arrested a couple of days back. He's a congressman. What did the Aam Aadmi Party tell us? Why is the Congress worried about Mr. Khera being arrested? Law is taking its course. कानून अपना काम कर रही है. When the ex-finance minister of Punjab, who then joined BJP, was hounded by the Aam Aadmi Party with, the courts in Bhatinda hounding him and the police from Bhatinda hounding him, BJP did not raise a squeak. But, what did the Aam Aadmi Party say? अरे मनप्रीत बादल को तो हमने इसलिए अरेस्ट किया है बिकॉज ये कानूनी प्रक्रिया थी, ये तो न्यायपालिका अपना काम कर रही है. मतलब आप अरेस्ट करो तो कानूनी प्रक्रिया है, पर बीजेपी अरेस्ट करे तो इट इज पॉलिटिक्स ऑफ वेंडेटा.
So let Shubh Malhotra respond to it. Both those questions. I asked this to one of your colleagues yesterday also. You arrested Mr. Khera just last week. At that time, it was the law taking its own course. O.P. Soni, former Deputy Chief Minister, was also arrested. I think there are at least half a dozen former Congress ministers in the previous government who've been arrested by Mr. Bhagwant Man's government. But also, the charge that's been laid out as far as Mr. Sanjay Singh is concerned, and there are pictures to back this claim, pictures of Sanjay Singh with Dinesh Arora and the Chief Minister, Sanjay Singh with Manish Sisodia and Dinesh Arora. I mean, are we to believe that there's no connection between these individuals at all?
Okay, so the first part of the question, let me tell you, these are not new cases by Aam Aadmi Party. They were there they were filed at the time of BJP government, charge sheeted at the time of Congress government. So, these are not new cases. The second part of your question is with respect to, can you repeat, you mentioned?
The second part I said is Mr. Dinesh Arora, okay, if you don't want to take his approver statement on a verbatim, fair enough, you don't take that approver statement. What explains, what explains the multiple pictures of the Chief Minister, Sanjay Singh and Dinesh Arora, multiple pictures of Mr. Sisodia, Dinesh Arora and Sanjay Singh. Sanjay Singh has written letters to Dinesh Arora praising him for doing good work during COVID. Mr. Dinesh Arora has written letters to Sisodia and to Mr. Sanjay Singh praising them for increasing the alcohol serving time and the restaurant opening time in Delhi restaurants till 3 a.m. And now the line that's been taken, the defense line that's been taken in court is, we don't have any acquaintance. Come on, who are you fooling?
So does this prove that they are guilty? I mean, at the end of the day, we are talking about that Sanjay Singh is corrupt. We are talking about that Manish Sisodia is corrupt. When the court itself is saying, despite all this enormous bit of evidence that you are talking about and the spokesperson from the other party is talking about, the court is saying that there is no money trail you are being able to establish. Your case is going to fall flat in 2 minutes. So, just try to focus on what is happening over here for a bit. 500 officials of ED have been investigating this case for over 15 months. Thousands of raids have happened. Not a single rupee money trail has been found. Nothing has been achieved. Only the taxpayers' money has been wasted. And I feel sorry for the ED, unfortunately, because now that the Akalis have fled, now Shiv Sena has fled, now JDU, so they've given them the best treatment in Bihar.
insane.
All of that. Let me complete. Let me complete.
Okay,
The laughter-
quickly, 10 seconds.
The
Yeah.
laughter is yours. The laughter is yours.
Yeah.
Let me
One second, ma'am.
complete.
One second,
Let me
ma'am.
complete.
One second.
Now
One second, Sarunan. One second.
alliance partners.
One second.
Now they are left with
Let her
only
finish.
2 alliance partners.
You have one
Now
seat
they
in
are
the
left
Lok
with only 2
Sabha.
alliance
You have
partners.
one seat in the Lok Sabha, Sharan
Okay.
Karo.
Now
You have one seat in the
Okay,
Lok Sabha.
now I'm going to move on.
Sharan Karo.
Rajagopalan wants
You
to
have
speak and then
one
Sarunan
seat in the
also.
Lok Sabha.
One second, one at a time,
Sharan
one at a time, please.
Sharan
One at a time, please,
Sharan
one at a
Sharan
time. Only Rajagopalan on screen. Mr. Rajagopalan, again, I come back to the point, not the legal point, but the political point. Earlier you said when I asked that India Alliance is saying that this is, vendetta because the majority of the politicians who've been raided, booked, arrested, etc. are opposition politicians. You said that opposition politicians are all corrupt. Is it your contention that nobody in the BJP is corrupt?
They are all corrupt BJP leaders. I do agree. But at the same time, can you imagine, Jaka, the amount of loot this opposition did? That is why Mr. Narendra Modi is exposing each and every loot. That is why Prime Minister said from the Red Fort that he will go after each and every one. And moreover, he has extended this. My understanding of the Sanjay Singh case is, after reading the remand note, the needle of suspicion goes to the top. And moreover, Aam Aadmi Party is in existential crisis because all of them are in jail.
Okay. Final word, Sarunan, I've got to wrap up. But the point is, Sarunan, this was a major issue that the public rallied on and voted the UPA 2 out of power in 2014. It continues to have major resonance even now, that corruption is not something that is okay with the general public. And look at it, eventually these cases may or may not result in a conviction. But what Mr. Rajagopalan said is right. Manish Sisodia in jail, Satyendra Jain in jail, Sanjay Singh in jail, the person who was doing media coordination for the Aam Aadmi Party in jail. Point is that the people are going to look at all of this and say that if all of these guys are in jail, then something might be fishy here, right?
No, that is, you have hit the nail on the head, Zaka. The BJP exactly wants to do that. By putting everybody in jail, they want to create a picture as though something is wrong. But people are sick and tired. They want governance. They want the petrol fuel prices to come down. Not this tamasha of arresting everybody and putting them in jail and going, the Supreme Court commenting on the conduct of the ED. When was the last time the Supreme Court conducted? It was in 2008. It said CBI is against marriage. Now it said the ED is
one at a time, please. One at a time. Let Sarunan finish.
One more thing, Zaka. Just a moment, Zaka. See, in the Enforcement Directorate, went to the house of one Jyoti Kumar in the state of Tamil Nadu, who was working in Kamalalayam. Who accompanied him? All the office bearers of the BJP accompanied the Enforcement Directorate. When was the last time ED allowed third persons to enter when a raid is going on? And what happened to the Mr. Jyoti Kumar? Probably the ED received some phone calls and they left the raid and went away.
Sanju Verma, final word.
The BJP,
Many an opposition politician is in jail. Supreme Court is saying not very charitable things about ED and its investigation. Ultimately, the onus is on the investigating agency to prove that yes, there was exchange of money, there were proceeds of crime, and these accused persons were beneficiaries from those proceeds of crime.
You know, Zaka, I will just say this. You know, Hindi में कहावत है चोर चोर मोसेरे भाई. चोर चोरी से जाए पर हेरा फेरी से न जाए. And each time you question the BJP, don't forget, be it Rahul Gandhi, Sonia Gandhi in the National Herald case, they have not been given a clean chit. You know, the case is still sub judice. Be it P. Chidambaram in the INX media case, he's still facing trial. Be it Senthil Balaji of the DMK or Pon Modi of the DMK, they have not been given a clean chit by the courts. They are still facing trial. And as far as the Aam Aadmi Party is concerned, Manish Sisodia, Sanjay Singh, Satyendra Jain, Somnath Bharti, who's been in and out of prison and is the number 2 in the Delhi Jal Board. Don't forget Tahir Hussain, who's in and out of prison. I mean, look at the entire opposition.
Okay.
You know, they are a tainted bunch.
I have to wrap up. Thank you very much to all our guests. Let's see. Look, like I said, ultimately this case has to be proven or otherwise in a court of law. But I'm afraid before that can happen, it will get made or marred in the People's Court in the run-up to the Lok Sabha election of 2024. Meanwhile, let's move on to the other story that we're focusing here on Brass Tacks tonight. A major controversy has erupted at the Asian Games during the javelin throw event, which of course Neeraj Chopra won, and Jena went on to get the second place, the silver medal. Neeraj Chopra's first attempt, his first throw, was not measured. Now, this prompted the senior vice president of the Athletics Federation of India and Olympian in her own right, Anju Bobby George, to accuse Chinese officials of trying to cheat and deliberately target Indian athletes. She even alleged that in China, that winning in China is difficult as their officials are always up to some mischief. Now, as per reports, Neeraj Chopra had comfortably cleared the 85-meter mark, but to his surprise, his throw was not recorded by the officials and he was not given any reason why. Neeraj then claimed that there was something definitely fishy and it should be looked into. Apart from Neeraj, Kishore Jena, who came second, who got the silver medal, he joined Neeraj Chopra on the podium. He also had his second throw invalidated for crossing the line. But that decision, however, was later reversed when it was very apparent in the television cameras that he had not crossed the line. Other Indian athletes have also alleged foul play, whether it is Jyoti Yaraji, Bhavani Kumari earlier. So the question that's being asked is, clearly there are geopolitical tensions between China and India since the last 3 years, since the Galwan clashes. In fact, even before this Asian Games, there was this controversy around staple visas, as a result of which the sports minister refused to go to China. Is China, in a way, getting back at all of this by using foul play, bad refereeing at the Asian Games, targeting Indian players?
तो उन्होंने पता नहीं क्यों थ्रो मेजर नहीं किया। बहुत बोलने के बाद भी उन्होंने मुझे बोला कि नहीं नहीं आपका थ्रो जो ये वैलिड नहीं है। उन्होंने बोला कि ठीक है आपका हमने काउंट कर लिया है। उन्होंने मेजर किया थोड़ा सा उससे ज्यादा था।
Well, nobody knows what happens in China. Either they are pure stupid or they are up to mischief. The Athletic Federation will do what it has to do.
All right, Andrew K.P. Liang is now joining us. He's a China strategist, Ashok Sajanhar, former diplomat. Like I said, I don't want to make this into hyperbole, but there have been at least 4 Indian athletes, and curiously, Ashok Sajanhar, none of the other athletes from other countries are complaining about this. It seems like Indian athletes are badly being officiated, refereeing is being badly done when it comes to their events. In javelin, both the players complained. In Jyoti Yaraji's case, she complained. The fencing star also complained. Even the women's javelin thrower, Anurani, she also complained. So clearly something is amiss whereby Chinese officials either are badly trained, don't know how to do their job, or they are clearly targeting India and Indian athletes for non-sporting reasons.
No, absolutely, you're right, Zaka, because that's what it appears, that it doesn't all appear to be, very much in the clear. Because as you said very clearly, that it is only the Indian athletes who are facing this sort of a problem. It is not the athletes of any other country. So, if it was poor training, I would have given it, okay, fine, they are poorly trained, but then why should it all only happen as far as the Indian athletes are concerned? So, it brings me to question whether it is some sort of a mindset that, they don't want to see Indian athletes who are doing well. They don't want to see them, although they should realize that, number one, in sports, there has to be the sportsman spirit that should prevail. Secondly, I think it's not as if India is on the top of the table. India is not at the top of the table, and India is doing much better than what it has done earlier. But, as far as our gold medalists are concerned, trying to stop them, and you can see the sort of a body language also that is being shown on your screen. Obviously, our athletes are very upset about this. They are very angry at this. And there, seems to be something more than what really meets the eye, that it is poor training or it is. I think it's the sort of a mindset that, appears to give rise to this.
Andrew Liang, like I said, I don't want to jump into conspiracy theories. I'm not someone who believes too much in conspiracy theories. But look at the background to this entire tournament. We had that entire controversy in the lead up to it about staple visas. The Sports Minister of India, who was supposed to go for the opening ceremony, cancelled that at the last minute as a fallout of China's decision to not give proper stamped visas to some of our wushu players. They were not able to go. Then at least 4 Indian athletes have complained through the course of their disciplines that they were at the receiving end of bad refereeing. Why should India look at this and say, you know, what's going on here? Is something amiss here? Is something fishy here? Because, like I said in my question to Mr. Sajjanar as well, only Indian athletes seem to be complaining, and only Indian athletes seem to be at the receiving end of this bad refereeing. Athletes of other countries are not complaining. So clearly, there seems to be this impression that because of the overall geopolitical context between India and China from Galwan onwards for the last 3 years, maybe the referees are doing this, not consciously, maybe subconsciously, but they are not, you know, bringing up to the very highest standard, Andrew Leung, the officiating and the refereeing, particularly when it comes to Indian players.
Sorry, are you asking me, sir?
Yes, Andrew K.P. Leung, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Well, first of all, I think that the athletes should be congratulated for scoring a double medal and then achieving a historic record of 88.88, which are very, very good numbers because 8 stands for prosperity in Chinese. Don't forget that, as you rightly pointed out, China doesn't need to do this, this kind of trying to do down India, because, as you said, China is right on top of the medals table, 150 more gold medals compared with India. So China, there's no reason at all, you know, to go to do some fishy things in front of the whole world. I think that as far as the perceived irregularities are concerned, well, these are happens most of the time, if not all the time, in international games. And as far as for example, China itself, in the Winter Olympics hosted in Beijing, some of the China athletes were complaining about some sort of irregularities.
So are you saying that Chinese referees and Chinese officials are not up to the highest international standards?
Well, I mean, even the referees have high standards, but sometimes, you know, some irregularities do happen, as I said, in international games. And it is right for India to complain and also launch perhaps asking for an explanation. But I think that there is no reason for China to stoop down to
you know, I want to ask Mr. Sajjanar also this. It's not just the athletes, you know, very senior officials who have been athletes in their own right. Anju Bobby George, who's the Vice President of the Athletics Federation, Adil Sumariwala, who's the President of the Athletics Federation. They are saying that something is amiss here. I mean, none of us is jumping to the conclusion that, oh, this is some big grand conspiracy by the Chinese officials. But clearly, officiating is not at the highest international standard. So something is amiss. And like I said, not just the current players who are at the receiving end, but even officials, former players who are now officials, have also made the same complaint.
No, you're very right, Zaka. You know, the problem is that if it was happening, you know, if it was happening with the other athletes also, I would take it, you know, that the competence of the referees is not up to the mark. They are making mistakes, they are erring, etc. But, you know, here it is only, and, you know, this is what is important to notice, it's only the Indian athletes who are being singled out like this. That's why I said maybe it has something to do with, you know, the sort of mindset as far as the people are concerned, you know, those who are referees, those who are judges there. And the other point is that in all the cases where we have complained, you know, it has all these decisions have been overturned because you know, not in the case of Neeraj Chopra, you know, his first throw, which was apparently a very good throw, that was disregarded completely. So he had to sort of, you know, come back. And for a person who's competing at the highest level, and for him to sort of, you know, be standing on one side, twiddling his thumbs, not knowing what has happened, I think that can be very disconcerting. It's credit to him. On that score, I would definitely agree with Andrew K.P. Leung that, you know, our athletes need to be congratulated that notwithstanding these very tense circumstances and these very hostile sort of atmosphere that is sought to be created, that they have continued to do well. But I think it
Andrew Leong, I don't generally like to mix politics and sports, but we have seen in the past, whether it is the USA boycotting an Olympic Games, then followed by the Soviet Union, the then Soviet Union boycotting Olympic Games that were hosted by the United States. We have seen quite a bit of geopolitical overlap or rub-off into the sporting arena. Are we to believe that given the tensions between India and China over the last 3 years, this is perhaps an extension of that?
Well, I don't think so. I think particularly at a time when the world is torn apart by geopolitical tensions, we need international games like this, either regional games or the global games like the Olympics, so as to highlight the importance of cooperation and competition. And rather than focusing on narrow-mindedness, because there are no doubt a lot of things that divide countries, but there are a lot of other things that bind countries together, and also peoples and civilizations. We need more of that rather than less.
No, these are lofty words, but it doesn't mean much to an athlete who's lost a medal or who's lost a point because of bad officiating and bad refereeing. But we'll leave it at that. Hopefully there won't be any such bloopers and blunders by Chinese referees and officials through the course of the remainder of the Asian Games, as it were. Meanwhile, as I wrap up and say thank you to Ashok Sajanhar and to Mr. Andrew Leong, we caught up with both Anju Bobby George as well as Adil Sumariwala, who's the president of the Athletics Federation. Anju Bobby George, of course, Olympian in her own right, the long jumper. Both of them said that something is amiss. Yes, they stopped short of saying it was some grand conspiracy by China and Chinese officials, but certainly it was very poor officiating, poor quality of refereeing by Chinese officials, and that certainly will be looked into by the Athletics Federation of India. They will, if need be, even raise a complaint on the same. I will leave you with these interviews. Thank you for tuning in.
At the start, with officials seemingly unable to measure the distance of Neeraj's first heave into the night. The entire throw, in fact, looked like it had landed near the 85-meter mark. But after a long discussion between the officials with Neeraj hovering by their table, they decided that the Indian should rethrow his first attempt due to technical glitch on their part. Now, all this controversy has led to a very strong reaction, this time by Anju Bobby George, who is a senior vice president, Athletics Federation of India. Now, she's claimed that China is trying to cheat us and disturb our athletes. In fact, Ms. George is with us on the broadcast. Ms. George, that's a very, very serious allegation that you're making. What has led to these claims first?
Well, from the first day itself, we could feel that some kind of the problems are happening with our athletes. It happened first with our walkers. Someone else was doing foul, and they actually kept our athletes aside for a few minutes. And then it happened with Jyoti. Everyone has seen that. And then Anurani's first throw javelin also, they actually, without measuring, they were doing something, and then it's happened with Srinagar in long jump, and again it happened with Neeraj and Jinnah also.
Okay.
So this was a continuous thing. It was not just happened with one athlete. It was with many athletes. And Neeraj, he is our prestigious world champion, Olympic champion, and something happening with him and disturbing during his even it's with any athlete during the competition, disturbing by officials is unaccepted, and it's against our sports code. And it's seen the politics. We cannot mix the politics and sports. So this is something else, and this is Asian Games. This is not a small competition, and the officials actually it is pre-planned like this. Otherwise, maybe for one athlete would have, but with many athletes. And continuously, this is something actually, in my guess, it was pre-planned, and this is the thing what happened.
Ma'am, these examples, of course, that you are quoting has happened. The first throw had to be redone by Neeraj Chopra. The second by Jenna had to be redone, and they were claiming technical glitches. Of course, this has also been happening in the past. Have you really zeroed in on whether it's only happening to the Indian athletes, if that can be spoken about?
Yeah, in my understanding, it happened with only Indian athletes, and no one else have complained about such kind of bad officiating, and it's never came into my knowledge. So it was continuously happening with our Indian athletes.
What do you think is going on? There have been some poor officiating and refereeing that has come to light during these Asian Games, but particularly during yesterday's men's javelin throw competition, both of our athletes suffered some poor officiating. Even somebody like Neeraj Chopra, who doesn't raise a lot of questions, has gone on to suggest that there is something going wrong. What, according to you, is happening in China?
Well, nobody knows what happens in China. Either they are pure stupid or inefficient, or they are up to mischief. Now, one really doesn't know. One will have to learn Chinese to really figure out what is happening there. But whatever is happening is absolutely not acceptable at any stage, at any point. With a competition, however big or small, you cannot let this happen.
So, Anju Bobby George has also gone on to suggest that there could be something fishy going on here. I want to understand from you as the Federation Chief, why is it that a lot of this is happening in athletics disciplines? Most of the prominent cases have come to light from the athletics events, not so much from the other events.
We don't know really what is happening in other events. But as you know, athletics, we've got the maximum number of medals. We send 62 athletes. And 41 athletes out of those are coming back with medals. It's a big one. So therefore, we really don't know what is whether there is genuine mistakes or they're genuinely trying to stop us. But in China, it's very difficult to know. The Shefty mission has to do what he needs to do. And the Athletic Federation will do what it has to do. The Athletic Federation, there are certain protocols which we will follow and take it to its logical conclusion. There are various protocols to follow and which we will follow and take it to its logical conclusion, whether it is at Asian level, world level, at whichever level it needs to be taken up.
I also do want to understand from you, what are the Indian athletes telling you? Some of those like Neeraj, Kishore, Jenna, Anu Rani, who have faced this issue, what was the experience like for them? We've spoken to some of them, and while this did not deter their performances and they have ended up winning historic medals, it certainly is a problem if, a lot of our athletes go through something like this, because it can easily rob them of a medal winning performance and of their rhythm.
Yeah, absolutely. They can get completely disturbed mentally. They can lose focus. Absolutely. But like I'm keeping on saying, we are a new India. This is a new India. This is not the past, India of the past. Please understand. Everybody needs to understand that these athletes are out there to go fight, perform, and win. These athletes are not there to just go participate, get a India color, wear it to the market every Sunday to show that you represented India. No, these athletes are going out there to fight and win. And the more they get pushed, the more they will fight harder and harder. And that's the new caliber of the new Indian athlete, the new India that we are seeing.
You want to participate in online betting, you are given numbers of call centers. These call centers, have been traced to various countries, Netherlands, Nepal, Sri Lanka, UAE, to name a few. And when you call these call centers, you are sent a WhatsApp number. On this WhatsApp numbers, bank transaction UPI details are to be shared, and once the bettor actually shares his UPI or bank details, then some money is transferred into his or her account, making that player satisfied that he is getting a return for the kind of money that he has placed on the betting app. But that is only step one. What really happens after that? There are a panel of operators associated with this betting app. The numbers being put forward right now is 4 to 5,000 panel operators, each one of whom are earning about 150 to 200 crores through this modus operandi. And the ratio of profit sharing with the Mahadev app promoters is 70-30. So 70% of the total earning is transferred to the promoters, 30% of it is kept with these panel operators who are associated. That is broadly the modus operandi on which the Mahadev app is working. Even payments that are being made, there are a lot of celebrity endorsements to make this app popular, make this gaming app popular, betting app popular. There are celebrity endorsements, and ED suspects that they are all paid through Hawala channels. So the money that they are fraudulently earning, they are trying to round trip it and pay it to celebrities via Hawala channels. That is what Ranbir Kapoor is likely to be asked as to how was the payment made to him when he was promoting this particular app. This entire racket actually came to forefront after one of the promoters' wedding in Dubai, in the UAE, caught attention. About 250 crore was spent on that wedding. Cash payment in dirham was made. The wedding planner was also paid in cash worth, hundreds of crores of rupees. There was a private jet that was hired, and that money also from Nagpur all the way to Dubai. Family members of Saurabh Chandrakar, one of the, promoters, they all flew down in a private jet. Ravi Uppal is the second promoter. These two are based in UAE. The headquarters of this app is in UAE, but we are told that there is also a Pakistan connection. These two promoters were trying to, launch a similar betting platform in Pakistan as well, and that has set the alarm bells ringing. Why is ED concerned? Why is government concerned? Because on the face of it, this looks like just an organized crime racket, but could it have links with terror? The moment you talk about betting and you have links with Pakistan, automatically the alarm bells are ringing here in Delhi. So that is exactly what has happened in this case. Ranbir Kapoor may not be the first and the only one from Bollywood who will be summoned. A list of about 17 people, Bollywood A-listers, who have helped this app by promoting them or participating in that high-profile wedding, and all payments have been made through Hawala transactions. There are a number of Hawala operators also who are part of this racket. ED plans to question all of them to figure out what is the extent of this money laundering that is happening. 5,000 crore is the rough estimate, but the number could go up, is what ED officials say. They've already attached property worth 417 crore, arrested 4 people, carried out searches at multiple locations. There is a non-bailable warrant from a special PMLA court in Chhattisgarh, in Raipur, against the promoters, based on which ED is also wanting to get a red corner notice issued. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. What the ED officials say is that this betting app and the way it was operating, the tentacles of it could be running deep into Indian society, from the top level of Bollywood right up to slum dwellers in cities like Mumbai and Delhi. Mahadev betting app has once again grabbed headlines because Enforcement Directorate has asked actor Ranbir Kapoor to be present before the Enforcement Directorate and answer some questions. But how does this app really work? What is this app all about? As per Enforcement Directorate, which has been probing the Mahadev betting app, this is an umbrella syndicate which provides online betting agencies, platforms, and betting happens on everything under the sun. It could be on political results, as far as elections are concerned. It could be on the weather on that particular day. It could be cricket matches or the success of a particular Bollywood film. So anything that you want to bet on, Mahadev app actually provided you some online platform to put your money on. How was this app really functioning? What the ED investigation suggests so far is that the head office of this app is in UAE, but its tentacles are spread across the world. There is a connection with Netherlands, Sri Lanka, Nepal, UAE of course, and then there are operators in Delhi and Mumbai in India who are helping this app operate. The modus operandi seems to be twofold. One, slum dwellers, people who are in the low income group, mostly unsuspecting people, their UPI IDs are taken by those associated with this app. In return, they are paid some money, but their UPI ID is then misused to launder money. The second way in which this app works is that if you want to bet or if you want to participate in online betting, you are given numbers of call centers. These call centers, have been traced to various countries, Netherlands, Nepal, Sri Lanka, UAE, to name a few. And when you call these call centers, you are sent a WhatsApp number. On this WhatsApp numbers, bank transaction UPI details are to be shared, and once the bettor actually shares his UPI or bank details, then some money is transferred into his or her account, making that player satisfied that he is getting a return for the kind of money that he has placed on the betting app. But that is only step one. What really happens after that? There are a panel of operators associated with this betting app. The numbers being put forward right now is 4,000 to 5,000 panel operators, each one of whom are earning about 150 to 200 crores through this modus operandi. And the ratio of profit sharing with the Mahadev app promoters is 70-30. So 70% of the total earning is transferred to the promoters, 30% of it is kept with these panel operators who are associated. That is broadly the modus operandi on which the Mahadev app is working. Even payments that are being made, there are a lot of celebrity endorsements to make this app popular, make this gaming app popular, betting app popular. There are celebrity endorsements.
Hello, Namaskar. This is First Post and you're watching Vantage with me, Palki Sharma. We begin tonight with all the drama at the Asian Games in China. India's medal tally is rising, so are the instances of Indian athletes being targeted. Chinese officials are being accused of cheating, and India says it will file an official complaint. We'll bring you the full story as we also track the Cricket World Cup. It has started today. The Indian team is in focus with their new orange jersey, but tonight we're looking at the business of cricket. What the World Cup will mean for the economy and for India's soft power. In Canada, Justin Trudeau is looking for a quiet reconciliation with India, but he has unleashed a beast. Khalistani terrorists have gone into overdrive, not just in Canada, but also in the UK and the US. A new report by the US State Department shows how China is influencing global media players with its checkbooks and disinformation campaigns. India has released a negative arms import list. We'll tell you what that means. Britain wants to ban smoking for the next generation. What is their plan and will it work? Why does Australia have a new coin with King Charles on it? How bad is the situation in the Sikkim floods? And what a new survey says about women's promotion at the workplace. We'll get you all this and more. The headlines first. France will send military equipment to Armenia. Azerbaijan slams it as France's militarization policy. Baku says it is ready for EU-mediated talks with Yerevan, a day after the Azeri president turned down a meeting with the Armenian Prime Minister in Spain. Russia to build a naval base in Abkhazia, a breakaway Georgian region. Georgia expresses concern over Moscow's base in the Black Sea coast. It comes amid mounting Ukrainian attacks on Russian warships there. In 2008, Russia and Georgia fought a war. Since then, Moscow has recognized the independence of Abkhazia. Turkish airstrikes on a Kurdish-held region in Syria now. Drones hit military and infrastructure targets. At least 7 people have been killed in the attacks. Since Sunday, Turkey has also launched strikes on Kurds in northern Iraq. Turkey considers the Kurdistan Workers' Party to be a terrorist organization. Uganda's opposition leader Bobi Wine arrested. The 41-year-old was held on his return from a trip abroad. Wine is a former pop star and a prominent critic of President Yoweri Museveni. He made a failed bid for the presidency in 2021. Museveni has ruled Uganda since 1986. Typhoon Koinu lashes southern Taiwan. Thousands of homes are without power, flights cancelled, schools and offices shut. The Category 4 cyclone produced one of the strongest wind gusts ever recorded worldwide. Koinu means puppy in Japanese. And Norwegian author Jon Fosse wins the Nobel Prize in Literature. The 64-year-old's major works include Boathouse and Melancholy. He has often been compared to Samuel Beckett. Fair play is the cornerstone of any sport. You must win fairly, you must lose fairly, and if you are on the sidelines, you must officiate fairly. But maybe not at the Asian Games. Their officials are being accused of cheating, of deliberately targeting Indian athletes, and it's been happening for days now. Even Neeraj Chopra talked about it. His first throw in the javelin final was wiped off. Reason? Some technical glitch. We told you about it yesterday. Now it looks like the Indian team has had enough. They've decided to file an official complaint. Listen to Anju Bobby George. She is the Vice President of the Athletics Federation of India, and she says it's all pre-planned.
So this was a continuous thing. It was not just happened with one athlete.